The American food industry is one of the most profitable in the world, with food and beverage sales exceeding $1.5 trillion annually. However, much of this profit comes at the cost of public health. Major corporations have developed a system that prioritizes cheap, processed, and chemically laden foods to maximize margins while knowingly increasing rates of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. This article examines how the food industry profits from unhealthy products, the role of government agencies like the FDA, the impact on public health, and a concrete plan to reform the system. Ultra-processed foods, which contain artificial additives, excessive sugars, unhealthy fats, and synthetic chemicals, now make up over 57% of the average American's diet. A study published in the BMJ found that each 10% increase in ultra-processed food consumption is associated with a 14% higher risk of death. The CDC reports that 42.4% of U.S. adults are now classified as obese, compared to 13% in 1970. Childhood obesity has tripled since the 1970s, with 1 in 5 children now classified as obese. Despite overwhelming evidence that ultra-processed foods are harmful, corporations continue to market them aggressively, targeting vulnerable populations, particularly low-income households that have limited access to healthier alternatives. Many ingredients found in American food products are banned in Europe, Japan, and other developed nations due to health concerns. However, in the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, allows corporations to use these harmful chemicals under the generally recognized as safe loophole, meaning companies can self-certify the safety of their own additives. Banned in Europe, allowed in the U.S., brominated vegetable oil or BVO is used in sodas linked to neurological damage and banned in the EU and Japan. Potassium bromate found in baked goods is labeled a potential carcinogen by the World Health Organization. Titanium dioxide used in Skittles and other candies is banned in Europe for its potential cancer risks. These chemicals increase shelf life and make food appear more visually appealing, but at the cost of long-term health consequences. The Food and Drug Administration, responsible for ensuring food safety, has repeatedly failed to protect the public due to corporate influence and lobbying. Key FDA failures. The GRAS loophole allows food companies to decide for themselves if an additive is safe, without FDA approval. The FDA took over 50 years to ban trans fats after overwhelming scientific evidence proved they were harmful. Many former FDA officials take jobs in the food industry, creating a revolving door between regulators and corporations. The food industry spends hundreds of millions of dollars annually on lobbying to weaken regulations and ensure their harmful products remain on shelves. The American Beverage Association spent $9 million in 2023 to fight soda taxes. Monsanto Bayer, a major producer of genetically modified crops and pesticides, spends over $10 million annually to prevent stricter food labeling laws. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo collectively spent over $30 million in the last decade to block healthier school lunch initiatives. This corporate control over food policy has led to lax regulations, misleading labeling, and the continued presence of harmful chemicals in food. The U.S. has the highest obesity rate of any developed nation. Healthcare costs related to obesity are now over $147 billion annually. By 2030, it's projected that nearly 50% of Americans will be obese. 1 in 3 Americans has prediabetes or diabetes. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death in the U.S., largely driven by poor diet. The estimated annual cost of diabetes treatment has skyrocketed to $327 billion. A 2023 study found a 79% increase in colorectal cancer among adults under 50, likely linked to processed food consumption. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, found in diet sodas, have been linked to increased cancer risks. A nationwide plan to fix the broken food system, ban harmful additives. The FDA must align U.S. regulations with the EU, banning dangerous chemicals like potassium bromate, BVO, and titanium dioxide. Implement transparent food labeling, require clear front-of-package labeling for added sugars, artificial additives, and food dyes. Implement a warning label system for highly processed foods, similar to Mexico's sugar warnings. End food industry, lobbying power. Limit campaign contributions from food corporations. Close the revolving door between FDA officials and food industry executives. Tax ultra-processed foods and subsidize healthy alternatives. Implement higher taxes on sodas, processed meats, and sugary snacks. Use these funds to subsidize fresh produce and organic foods, making them more affordable. Restrict junk food advertising. Ban junk food ads aimed at children, similar to cigarette ad bans. Limit unhealthy food marketing in schools and public spaces. Revamp school lunch programs. Increase government funding for fresh, locally sourced meals in schools. Eliminate processed foods from cafeteria menus. The American food system is rigged against the consumer. Corporate greed, weak regulations, and government inaction have allowed the food industry to poison the public while profiting massively. The result? An epidemic of obesity, diabetes, and preventable diseases that cost taxpayers billions in healthcare expenses. The solution requires government intervention, corporate accountability, and public awareness. With bans on toxic additives, transparent food labeling, stricter regulations, and policy changes, the U.S. can move toward a healthier future. But until these changes occur, the food industry will continue to put profits over lives. Please like and share this video to increase awareness about the dangers of the U.S. food industry. Together we can make a difference.